Welcome back, everyone. I am Kevin Jordan, the Marigold Maverick. I'm here. We have a great little episode for you. We'll be talking all about this. Is my plant of the week for right now. This is a great plant choice for many of you. This is called Tradescantia. Let me see if I can get an image of it. This one is literally, I pulled it up out of the soil from a project earlier in the summer. It got neglected. Actually, it was sitting out of a container, but just like this, for the entire summer, only getting minimal amounts of overspray, just a very small amount of water from the sprinkler system near my lawn. And it stayed alive. So this is a super hardy plant. It's a tender evergreen perennial. So what that means is that if the temperatures are right, your winter isn't too drastically cold, that means it'll stay around and it'll actually maintain its foliage. It'll stay evergreen. So where it's native to, like in tropical regions, I believe like Mexico, you probably notice that it will probably do well there, really well, and look amazing in warmer places. And it'll actually stay evergreen through the winter. Here, where I live in Northern California, we get a little bit of a light frost, typically, and so that'll actually make it kind of like it'll go dormant eventually, and it'll lose all its foliage. You can actually trim it down. A lot of noise here today, sorry. You actually trim it down to basically nothing, little nub, and then when springtime comes, it gets a little warmer, life is good, and then it grows right back. What we're gonna do today is I want to show it off. Like I said, this is called Tradescantia. It's actually a big grouping of plants for Tradescantia. There's actually a lot of varieties that you can purchase. Sabrina, there's a bunch of ones, and they all look a little bit different, but of course they're all related because they're Tradescantia. And so you can see this one right here has these pink little light, or kind of purplish violet blossoms. The more sunshine it gets, typically the darker the leaves will get. If you keep it indoors or on a patio, you'll see it kind of stretch and get leggy and tends to green up a little bit. This one isn't even, you notice the leaves are starting to curl in and cup up. It's because this plant right here, this little chunk here, it's really dry. Like I said, it's alive, but it's not doing nearly as well as it could. So what I'm gonna do today is I actually wanna divide this. It's a really easy plant to divide, clone, and propagate. Many of you at home probably have already done this with this plant because it's so easy. What you can do is if you don't have the hand strength for this, you can get in there with a screwdriver or a little hand tool and kind of tease away some of this soil here. You just kind of tease away at it, and then you can break away the chunks. What you're looking for is the individual little chunks there of plant. If a piece breaks off like this, oftentimes you can actually put it right into a little cup of water for a few days. What I do is I dump the water out every day, refill it, and you can see this one's already got a root on it, and it'll root out really quickly. Some folks, if you live in a really mild climate, they've literally had luck, especially like tropical and subtropicals. You put it right in the soil, keep it moist, and it'll actually root just fine there, as long as it's not in too much drastic sun or heat. But typically I like to get them rooted a little better first before I put them into the soil. And so what we can do is either put these in containers in somewhere sheltered, or like I said, with like a nice well-drained potting mix, or you can do it with actually a number of things. I think I have some videos on here on how I like to get plants rooted. You can refer to those using vermiculite and perlite and other soil mixes. But you can get this to root, like I said, even as simple as a cup of water for about a week or so, really quick. Now, like I said, if the root mass is just too tied up for you and you're having a hard time, you can use a tool in there to kind of cut it apart. What I want to do is just gently kind of work it around and just break this sucker. There we go, because I want to show you what's up. So you can see that if you gently break it apart, you'll have all these little sections come off. And so what we're going to do, and some of them already have some small roots already on there, and you can see what's nice is you get left behind some of the bigger sections. Like I said, you can use an old pair of snips if you don't mind them getting a little dirty. I'll try to keep my newer snips out of the dirt, but an old pair, no problem. You can break that loose a little bit, a little twist, and what you're left with is a nice division, right? You can see this one right here, and it can be broken down further if you want, or if it feels satisfying to use to have a nice little chunk there, you can leave that as one, and then, like I said, get that rooted, clip off, remove any of that old dead material, and then you're going to want to keep this really moist. Like, it's light, it's drier, it's lighter than air. So it's really, this needs to be irrigated as soon as I can, especially all these little cuttings that I have here. So you can see their roots grow really quickly. I'm going to divide this some more, get it potted up, baby, and then I'm going to be happy. But this is my plant of the week. And you see that's a really good root chunk right there. They grow great here, even when it's cool. Like I said, you just cut it back in the winter. They bloom for you spring, summer, and into fall. They have great blossoms on there. They call it, sometimes they call this one Moses in a basket, Moses in a boat, spiderwort. So it has a lot of different names. But at Tradescantia, I think Pallida is this specific variety. And I just love growing this plant. I bought just one, I think maybe like 8 years ago at our Green Acres nursery out there in Roseville. And I bought one, and I bought it as a house plant, but then we grew it as a house plant, and it got super leggy and stretched out because there just wasn't enough light for it in our classroom. And then it also went from purple to like pale green. And so I wasn't a big fan of that. So we started growing it on a patio, as a patio plant. We even have some in ground in some of our native gardens or drought tolerant gardens, even though it's not native. But what's nice is that it goes well in our low water gardens because it's durable. Even though it looks really kind of lush and tropical, actually probably be a great plant near a pool, give you a somewhat tropical effect that's pretty durable, probably handle some of that splashing of the concrete and all that extra heat from the radiated whatever, it'd be durable there and give you that nice contrasted color. Sometimes you get a lot of green in your backyard, you throw some purple in there, man, it really stands out. And it also has blossoms as well that the bees tend to love. But this is a great plant, I highly recommend it. Tradescantia pallida. There's actually a lot of more Tradescantias out there, and some of them look a little different, so there's a lot of uniqueness in that plant, which I love. This is just one of my favorite. Like I said, we bought one a long time ago. We've propagated that. Now I have tons. I've given away a bunch. I've sold a bunch. I have some growing at home. This chunk, like I said, just survived all summer out of the dirt, out of a pot, just sitting on the concrete, basically getting partial sun, partial shade, and just the smallest amount of overspray for my lawn, because I don't water my lawn too much, and I have a pretty small lawn, so you can see it's just had enough water to survive. But this is a great plant. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go pot these up, get them off in the shade where they only get a little bit of dappled light. Excuse me. I'm gonna pot them up, and then life's good. And then we'll move on to the next thing. I'm on break right now. I gotta go back to work. There's more stuff to do. So until next time, happy gardening and best wishes to you. We'll see you next time.